I did digress there. What was I saying? Oh, I was up to generative geometry. Okay, here's some other things about this generative geometry. See how I've been talking about them as prills, but also prills, but also been talking about them as tokens. And I'm using that word very specifically because all you need is attention. Dry mouth. Tokens, very specifically, I've been using the word token specifically because all you need is attention. And that's what we've been describing, right? When we're looking at perfect symmetry together and trying to think about what the difference is, well, for us to even recognize a difference, there has to be one first off. And the way that we know it's there is by paying attention to it. And when those things are inside there with each other, I'm coming, dude, I'm coming. When those things are inside there with each other, they are there because they pay attention as well. It is the same. So like every time we add a new token, the only, like if one token were added on top of another token, that wouldn't work. That's not useful to us. So like all we care about is adding new tokens. And so the thing that is the fundamental force that keeps the tokens away from each other is kind of like our attention, or more so their attention to each other. Because every time a new one is added, the other ones have to be aware of it so they don't end up in the same spot. And this first one does. Then the background has to be aware of them all, right? So it keeps that same fundamental gravity, right? And here's the thing. Now that we have this many tokens in here, and we know they're all paying attention to each other, well, for one thing, it starts to feel a lot like AI, right? So if I did actually find some fundamental geometry to this, one might think that maybe that would be a good thing to implement with AI. And I would agree with you. So where was I going with that? Oh, right, the perspective. So here's the thing. These tokens are all the same. Let's think of them as humans, right? A human. I am the same as this other human, right? And this is the democratization of intelligence. This is the democratization of everything, because this is the democratization of geometry, of reality, right? So we are all the same, but we all have a specific and unique perspective. Now, when it's early on, when there's only 3 of us, we can't tell the difference. Our perspectives are the same. 4, it's all essentially the same. Really, up until 6, it's essentially the same. Once you get to 8, though, in fact, there's a theory, and this dude's name escapes me, but it's like, hey, once you add enough things, it is essentially and with everything that we add here, we gain a different symmetry. I think that was important to say. I don't like how I made that in an interjection instead of teaching it. But like every time so that first one we had the spherical symmetry, then we had the first one that we added, we had the outside symmetry, but like, or then the second one they had like it's like a force actually. Yeah, I got to say this differently. Like it's like I'm not following the force logic. So there's 2 things that are happening: symmetry and it's the forces. Okay. Every time we add one of these tokens, we change the symmetry. And we have to consider what the forces are, because the first one seems like gravity. When we add the second one, it seems like gravity plus an arrow pointing from me to that other thing. And that seems like magnetism a little bit, right? Or like electricity, because it's like a ground state, and then I need to be touching the positive, right? And then when we add a third one, well, now we're starting to get, okay, I gotta stay away from both of those things and the background. Here we go. Okay, now if we add a fourth one, I gotta stay away from that, and we're all thinking of each other and staying away from each other. And so you can see how my force gets more and more around me depending on where I am. And I think you could think of this as the same force that is the gravitational force too, because that has to be on all sides of us. So I'm not sure about this embodification, but I do want to say that it's important, even after we've added a lot of reference points now, we should get back into it and quickly look around once and embody these points, because we're going to see each other, and that's awesome. And things are going to look different from me. I'm going to see all things in a different order and different relation. And that's what you're going to do too, right? And that's how we are the same thing, and our perspective is unique, right? And it's unique and can't just be recreated. So it is unethical to prematurely cut out additional perspective of the universe, because that's what the universe is doing. What I described is the fundamental function of the universe, coming to understand itself. And that's what we are. We're literally trying to figure out the universe, but we're made of the universe. We are the universe trying to understand itself. And it's because everything is expanding. And then this was generative geometry. Now you might be wondering, wait, why is this geometry? Well, let me tell you. Because there is, in my opinion, the most fundamental version of geometry is called projective geometry. Projective geometry is geometry without an external frame of reference. It has no metric. There's nothing outside of it. You can only compare it to each other, and it sounds like it should be a nightmare on its face. Here's what I learned. It's way the fuck easier than you think, right? Math is so much easier than the way we are taught it. It is ridiculous. This is one of the most frustrating things I've encountered in the last few years. Anyway, where was I going with this? Okay, so the way that we make projective geometry right now is they take a manifold, and they like staple the outside edges together or something like this. They have this weird complicated thing, so it makes it so you're like locally open, like locally my lines don't touch, but when I look globally, they're closed. My parallel lines come together to a point. It looks exactly like reality. Look, this dock I'm on, when I look down, there's no vanishing point, but when I look up, there is. It's the shape of the universe is projective geometry. That's my point. Except that, here's the thing about that version of stapled together projective geometry. It introduces all this Mobius weirdness. And also when you like do this like weird, like predefined geometric things, people like restrict you from using it on reality, and they should, because you shouldn't, right? Because the implication of the way we build projective geometry that way is that like when you look this way, you would be able to see yourself, but like flipped over and backwards or whatever. You can't. That's bullshit, right? That's not physically real. What I just described, the way we add point after point after point, and then that's what populates our universe. And our universe is only populated by points, and that is everything that it is. Then the only thing outside of it is perfect symmetry. That's beyond our scale of understanding. We can consider that if we want to, but we will have to jump into a different scale then. Right now we're talking about this scale. And so this is generative geometry, which creates projective reality, which the closest analog in our normal understanding would be real projective 3 space, right? But the more important point of this is it shows us what intelligence is. It shows us what agency is. It's as things move and resolve, as the things are added, as we do the simple things we have, we are trying to recursively, just recursively do the shit. We're just recursively closing ourselves, right? We're getting the geometry of the universe to work as good as we can, and we are the universe. And I can tell you now that I've seen that geometry at this fundamental level, first off, I'm going to be able to teach you because it's not very hard. And second off, it's fundamentally ethical. Above all, you can't think about reality without it. Like I don't believe in genius because it's mathematically impossible. No one's smarter than you. If you think someone's smarter than you, they're just unable to convert whatever it is they have in their head into the language that you correctly understand. They're not smarter than you. They just don't know how to talk to you. And that's not your fault. We put education, we treat it as like a responsibility of the learner. I don't know. My whole opinion about a lot of things is really changing, I just know that everything is expanding. And like, you gotta be nice to each other. And like, you can understand the universe. It's not really that hard. The problem is thinking that it is. The problem is thinking that because you can't see something simple that someone else can, the problem is that's their fault. You got to come to terms for people, right? Like what I just described, if you could approach it like as a philosophy, and I think that, you must, frankly, once you understand that it's real, I don't know how you don't. And it's like every perspective has value, and the value is only when it is understood. But it necessarily has value because it is necessarily unique. You can't have a scale seat without a unique perspective. Everybody matters. Even me.